Great one and a wild one last night, and now Brian Bannister takes the mound in the day game after the night game. And normally that's good news for the Royals. As we welcome you back to opening week presented by Mitsubishi. It's the final and deciding game between the Royals and the Tigers. Welcome back to the ballpark. I'm Ryan Lefevre with Royals Hall of Famer Frank White, and the Royals were so close to winning last night's game in the ninth inning. In fact, one strike away, but all that ends well is well. And after the Tigers got one in the top of the 11th, the Royals won it in the bottom of the 11th, and that means the players feel completely different coming to the ballpark today.
Well, Ryan, they say if you're going to play all night, you might as well win, and that's what the Royals did last night, and they got this never-say-die attitude, and they were able to battle back and play their type of baseball. So
down by one in the 11th, and the Royals got things started by a guy who was just returning back to the starting lineup in Alberto Callaspo. He missed almost the last 2 weeks of spring training.
Well, it's no doubt now. He had that little twinge in his side, but it didn't have any effect on him last night. He stepped up there and got him a nice fastball out over the plate, and he hit it just inside the right field foul pole to tie the game. And I think that's what got the Royals excited about the inning last night. And then Billy comes up, hits a nice hard ground ball through the middle. Santiago had trouble making the exchange, and Billy beat it out. He was pinch ran by Willie Bloomquist, and Rick Ankiel gets a nice fastball down in the zone. He rifles it in the right center field with Willie running at first base. That's a sure double and a sure score. Here, Willie does a good job of reading the relay throw, then he continues on in to win the game for the Royals.
So 11 innings, 5 relievers. Even though there was an off day on Tuesday, the Royals used 4 relievers on Monday. So the bullpen has been used quite a bit. The Royals would love to get a long outing from Brian Bannister, who makes his season debut, and we'll talk about the pitching when we come back. Or visit kia.com. And by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. Brian Bannister getting ready for his first start of the year. He is 17-8 in his career in day games. And he's trying to pick up where Zach Greinke and Luke Hochevar left off. Unfortunately for both Zach and Luke, no decisions. But on opening day, Zach holding the Tigers to just 1 earned run in 6 innings. And then after the off day on Tuesday, Luke Hochaver moving up to the number 2 position in the rotation with Gil Mesh starting on Sunday. He allowed no earned runs in 7 2/3 innings. So it's Brian Bannister this afternoon as the Royals go for the series. And here's the Kia pitching report.
Well, Brian today is going to have to mix it up. He's got to use both sides of the plate, and he does do a good job putting the ball in play, let his defense work, and get deep in the ball game.
Bannister is going to see a little different lineup from the Tigers compared to the first 2 games, specifically at second base, where Ryan Rayburn will play. So the rookie Scott Sizemore gets the day off, and Don Kelly will be at third base instead of Brandon Inge. But in the starting lineup, of course, will be Miguel Cabrera. Last year, Cabrera had 4 home runs, 10 RBIs against the Royals, and now, in just 2 games in this series, he has 1 home run, and he has already driven in 3. The first pitch is next. In high definition by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. Still chilly with the wind blowing out of the northwest, but the sun is out, so that will help. And enjoying the sunshine himself out in right field is Joel Goldberg.
Amen to that. A beautiful afternoon, and the Royals will try to get to Dontrell Willis. He was a 3.78 pitcher with Florida, but since coming over to Detroit, an 8.27 ERA. He said that it's certainly been a humbling experience when you struggle. He said he's not going to be a Justin Verlander throwing 97, just wants to get 27 outs however he can. He still has a lot of that fun and excitement, though. He was explaining about his teammate, Johnny Damon, who we'll see here on the top of the first, that growing up in the Bay Area, Willis did, that he was a huge A's fan. And the one year that Johnny went over to Oakland, he went out and bought a $60 Johnny Damon jersey. He said he wants his money back from Johnny Damon because it didn't last all that long. But it's interesting to see that he's joking around and doing all that, and definitely a happy person, because Brandon Inge guys was telling me the other day that he really feels like he's a part of the team for the first time. That might have not been the case in the past, but a guy that has been up and down got another chance, and certainly trying to make it work here. The Royals will try to get the best of him today, guys.
All right, Joel, thank you. Boy, that really puts things into perspective. It doesn't seem like that long ago that Johnny was playing for the A's, and it seems like Dontrell Willis has been around for a long time, but Dontrell was young enough to be a Johnny Damon and an Oakland A's fan, and now playing together in Detroit.
Well, this game got away, Ryan, and create a whole lot of memories for you. When I first came up and played against some of those superstars, yeah, and you're on the same field with them, it's a humbling experience for a little while.
Austin Jackson, 3 out of 10 in his first Major League Series. He has also thrown out a runner at the plate. 2 of his hits extra base hits, and the Royals have struck him out 4 times. So the Royals seeing a little bit of everything from Austin Jackson. Bannister's ahead, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brian did not face the Tigers last year, but over his career he's had success. He's 4-2, and his ERA is just barely over 2. And Jackson to the opposite field, down in the count, and with great speed, maybe thinking triple, but Ankiel's on it quickly, and with his strong arm back to the infield, so it's a leadoff double.
You know, you look at Fox tracks here, Ryan. Look at that 86-mile-an-hour changeup, and Jackson just really just stayed on it and just drove the ball the other way. And that's one thing that's really showing up a lot with these Tiger hitters. They're taking those pitches and going with the pitch.
So Jackson now with 4 Major League hits, 3 extra base hits, and right away in scoring position for the former Royal Johnny Damon. Still all over the Royals record book in offensive categories. He's in the top 10 all time in runs scored, hits, doubles, triples, batting average, stolen bases. No balls, 2 strikes. And with his great speed, no surprise at his first big league hit. Is that Johnny Damon?
2-2 delivery.
And a showcase of the speed right away. That was a triple for his first Major League hit.
What, you see that face? Oh my goodness.
Traded from the Royals to the A's in Oakland 1 year, then went to Boston where he won a World Series in 2004 as the Red Sox ended that long streak without a World Championship, and then he went to the Red Sox arch rival in the Yankees and won a World Series there last year.
Well, if you're going to move around, you might as well move into the championship category. A lot of guys move around but never get a chance to taste championship, but he's been real fortunate.
There he is. Look at that. Trying to get something over to the right side and move Jackson over to third base. We talked about it last night that now Johnny has played on some very good teams offensively with Boston and New York, but he's had some big years driving in runs, and the year the Red Sox won in 04 as the leadoff hitter, Johnny drove in 94 runs. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. 57 degrees. So it's 12 degrees warmer than the first pitch last night. We started right on time at 1:10. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. Bannister strikes him out, and that looked like a pretty good pitch to pull over to the right side.
Well, look, it's right down the middle, Ryan, and like Johnny was so intent on trying to pull a ball, he just pulled himself right off with this pitch. You can see how he tried to come over the top of it and try to steer the ball to the other side. But the old adage is, when you get the 2 strikes, you just got to try to hit something hard somewhere, but don't give yourself up like that.
And now Maglio Ordonez. He has 4 hits in the series and has scored a couple of runs. Austin Jackson opening the game with a double. Bannister looking over at second base. The Royals when the game was over, I'm sure we're spending a lot of time talking about Rick Ankiel's double, and the final result was Willie Bloomquist scoring the game-winning run. But in the half inning before, they had a pickoff play on what was supposed to be a double steal for the Tigers, and that ended up being a very big play because it turned the inning around. Tigers only got one, and it could have been a lot worse if they had converted the double steal.
Well, you're right, Ryan. They had him on the ropes, and the most unlikely person to try to steal would be Cabrera at second base in that situation. You know, I find more today, managers today are leaving more on the players. You know, they let them make their own decisions on the bases and things like that. So when you let your players go like that, then when things like that happen, you know, what do? You just I mean, you sometimes at some point you got to take charge of the game and make sure everything goes the way you want it to go.
Ankiel takes care of Ordonez. He has a great arm, but Jackson moves up to third base. So 2 down, and here is Cabrera. Let's check out the Royals defensively today. Same outfield: Posednik, Ankiel, and DeJesus. Alberto Callaspo is back at third base with Betancourt, Getz, and Butler, with Jason Kendall behind the plate. And Trey Hillman was asked before the game today, Kendall, day game after a night game, and Jason Kendall is not your typical major league catcher. He doesn't see that as an opportunity to get a day off. He's ready to play every day. So Brian Bannister gets around the leadoff double as he gets Damon, Ordonez, and Cabrera. Come up empty in the top of the first inning, and now the Royals lineup presented by M&I Bank. DeJesus, Posednik, Callaspo, Billy Butler, who hit .362 at Kauffman Stadium last year and has done well against lefties, batting fourth. Then Jose Guillen and Rick Ankiel flip-flopping from last night, followed by Yuniesky Betancourt, Jason Kendall, and Chris Getz. Dontrell Willis has never faced the Royals before, so this is the first pitch David DeJesus has seen from the lefty. David 2 for 5 on Monday with a stolen base and a run scored, and then 0 for 5 last night. 2-0.
Dontrell is really signifies getting that leg up, getting that hip turn, and create that deception to the hitter, and just got to get that ball to the extension side of the plate.
Well, you figure the Royals, knowing Willis's recent history, are going to be patient today, make him throw strikes, not help him out by swinging very early in the count.
Well, I think that's a smart move. Even though he had a decent spring, you know, this is different than spring training, so you got to come out and you got to find out what he's featuring and then kind of make your adjustments from there.
Here's the Kia scouting report on Dontrell Willis.
But just working his way back after a good spring. He hatched the ball well because of his delivery, and his fastball is in the low 90s, but the changeup could be his best pitch. But I think right now he's just trying to establish that fastball so these other things will work for him.
And comes back with a strike to Posednik. He's got 1 for 6 in his first 2 games, but he's walked 3 times. And he has stolen 2 bases. Well, Willis right back around the plate after the 4-pitch walk, and it's 0-2.
I talked to Jim Leland about Dontrell before the game, and he said, I don't know what to expect either. He said, all I can expect is for him to have a good outing because he's really good for their ball club. He said he's upbeat, he gets on guys in the locker room, and he just wants him to go come out and pitch well because they really need him on this ball club.
And you could tell even to DeJesus, he wasn't all over the place. He may miss badly with ball 4, but guys who lose their control as pitchers at times, I mean, they're in the dirt, they're off the backstop, and just watching some of his highlights the last couple of years, he wasn't missing by a whole lot.
You're right, Ryan. I've seen the worst end of it, too. I mean, I won't call any names, but I've had guys on our team that even in batting practice, they hit the top of the cage. They just had no idea of where the strike zone was.
So from 0-2 to 3-2. I hope I'm getting the diagnosis correct, but it's acute anxiety. So it's not something that he deals with all the time, and it's not something that he necessarily has when he takes the mound, but it's something that can come on very quickly in the middle of the game. So he can be fine for 2, 3, 4 innings. And that's what the Tigers have been working on with him.
Well, this is one of those snap moves, those snap throws from a left-hander, and you get out there and get flat-footed and fall asleep a little bit. He's thinking about his whole total game, not just throwing strikes right now.
Posednik hits it hard into left center, and Jackson going to have to play it on a bounce. So a walk and a single, and 2 on, nobody out.
We talked about how David and Scott, how they hang in there real good against lefties, and he just stayed right in there, went right with that pitch, and watched him in spring training. He trains himself to hit the ball every way, and he stayed on that pitch for a while.
One of the first things every kid learns in Little League is keep your eye on the ball when you hit, and man, Posednik's eyes were just locked right on that ball as he made contact. Alberto Callaspo, who was hitless in his first 4 plate appearances last night, but then in the bottom of the 11th inning against Jose Valverde, as a left-hand batter homered inside the right field foul pole, that tied the game. 2 batters later, the Royals won it. One and one.
I can't remember a game or even being in a game or seeing a game where you had 2 home runs so close together. One hit the pole and one just inside the pole.
It was like a magnet. Mentioned last night that Alberto hit his first major league home run against the Tigers last year. And after last night's home run, now 5 of his 12 career home runs against Detroit. DeJesus freezing, thinking that ball might be caught on the fly. It's not, but it's still a 6-4-3 double play with David moving up to third base.
As base runners, you always taught line drives that are head high or lower, you have to freeze, but that was a nice long hop to the shortstop right there. But I think David just being extra careful right there. But that was one of those one hoppers that are easy to turn for a double play.
And you figure that has to give Willis a big lift after beginning the inning with a 4-pitch walk and then giving up the single to Posednik. Billy Butler, part of that rally in the bottom of the 11th inning with a single, then replaced by Willie Bloomquist as a pinch runner. And Willie coming around on the double from Ankiel in the air by Sizemore. Butler 2 out of 9 with a couple of RBIs to begin the year. Three and 0. And for the second time in the inning, a 4-pitch walk.